just roared up the street, and just a big, what you see, is a massive fire. You would never stop it. They had fire, bombing, everything. It just was out of control, out of control.
सुलेमानी की हलाकत के बाद ईरान ने जंग का ऐलान कर दिया है। ईरानी मीडिया ने इराक में अमरीकी फौजी अड्डों पर ईरान के 15 मिसाइल हमलों के नतीजे में तकरीबन 80 अमरीकी फौज मसूबी का कहना है।
قول ما اینی که اولا راه شهید سلیمانی رو با همون استحکام با حول و قوه الهی پیش می‌بریم و با توکل به خداوند تبارک و تعالی ما به ازای شهادت ایشون در گام‌های متعدد ازاله امریکا از منطقه و استمرار حرکت رسیدن به حکومت جهانی امام زمان.
ترامپ دیوانه که خود نماد جهل و بازیچه دست صهیونیست، خیال نکن با شهادت پدرم همه چیز تمام شد. رهبرم پدرم دو پدری داشت که در کنارش ایستاد و ما هم همانند پدرم در کنارش خواهیم.
जबकि दूसरी जानिब अमेरिका ने भी कह दिया है कि अगर हमें नुकसान हुआ तो हम ईरान के 52 मुकामात को तबाह कर देंगे और इस बार ऐसा सबक सिखाएंगे कि दुनिया याद रखेगी। ईरानी हुकूमत ने अमेरिकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप को कत्ल करने वाले शख्स के लिए $8 करोड़ नकद इनाम का है। अमेरिका और ईरान आमने सामने। क्या कासिम सुलेमानी की हलाकत तीसरी आलमी जंग का सबब बनेगी? अमेरिका की जानिब से जनरल कासिम सुलेमानी की हलाकत के बाद ईरान ने जंग का ऐलान कर दिया है। ईरानी मीडिया ने इराक में अमरीकी फौजी अड्डों पर ईरान के 15 मिसाइल हमलों के नतीजे में तकरीबन 80 अमरीकी फौजियों की हलाकत का दावा किया है।
ईरान की जो कैपेबिलिटी है वो अमेरिका की नहीं है और जो
मेजर जनरल अब्दुल रहीम मसूबी का कहना है।
قول ما اینی که اولا راه شهید سلیمانی رو با همون استحکام با حول و قوه الهی پیش می‌بریم و با توکل به خداوند تبارک و تعالی ما به ازای شهادت ایشون در گام‌های متعدد ازاله امریکا از منطقه و استمرار حرکت رسیدن به حکومت جهانی امام زمان.
ترامپ دیوانه که خود نماد جهل و بازیچه دست صهیونیست، خیال نکن با شهادت پدرم همه چیز تمام شد. رهبرم پدرم دو پدری داشت که در کنارش بود.
ममालिक के दरमियान मामला ताकत से हल होंगे या मजाक?
Moments ago, we were telling you that we're now hearing from the U.S. that Trump has confirmed that he will be sending an additional 1,500 troops to the Middle East. Let's get more from our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. What are you hearing about this decision, Kimberly?
Well, the U.S. president, we know, was briefed by the acting defense secretary, Patrick Shanahan, as well as his chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, on Thursday. So we had been anticipating that there may be some announcement on the escalation that has been going on now for some time between the United States and Iran in the form of the United States sending troops. We now know, and the president has confirmed just moments ago, is on the lawn of the White House where he is set to depart, that he has made that decision to send at least 1,500 troops, military resources to the Gulf, in his words, and that of some of the Pentagon officials that we have been trying to reach out to, that this is to deter Iranian threats. Now, in terms of what this will look like, because it's obviously a very small number, we know that this may be in the form of personnel to man Patriot missile batteries. This could also be used, these numbers, in terms of intel collection, so reconnaissance aircraft, for example. Now, once again, this comes just less than 24 hours after the president was asked about potential troop deployments here at the White House, and he said, I don't think we're going to need them. We also heard from the acting defense secretary this week that the threat from Iran in the eyes of the United States had essentially been put on hold. So to now have this announcement is certainly going to concern many lawmakers who feel that while the United States continues to say, and this administration continues to say, this is in response to some sort of threat, that this could be viewed by Iran as some sort of provocation.
And how much support does this decision have amongst lawmakers and others in the White House?
Well, certainly there are many Democrats on Capitol Hill who are highly critical of, and will be highly critical of, this announcement, that feel that the National Security Advisor, John Bolton in particular, has been escalating this, and that there is no imminent threat as the administration has been portraying. We do know that John Bolton has in the past advocated for preemptive strikes, not just on Iran, but also on North Korea. We do know that another advisor that weighs in heavily in Donald Trump's decision-making is his U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who has also continued to maintain that there is an increased threat, even as other members of the administration have efforted to tamp down those types of statements. So there have been briefings on Capitol Hill this week, and I can tell you there's a lot of skepticism, particularly from Democrats in the House of Representatives. And we should also remind our viewers that while the Congress in the United States legally is the one that can only authorize war, there is concern that this administration may use a loophole that was put in place after the September 11th attacks to get around any sort of congressional oversight or approval if this were to escalate further.
And will this be seen, Kimberly, as an escalation of the strained relationship and tensions between Iran and the United States?
Well, I think that, those in the region could probably give a better sense of how this will be reacted to. But certainly there is always concern when the United States continues to say that this is purely defensive and then points to Iran as sort of increasing its posture, perhaps in response to the U.S. actions, and then points to that and says this is escalatory behavior. You have to wonder which came first. And many people would argue that it's the United States that is provoking this, not the other way around. So in terms of the actions, that certainly is a subjective perspective, perhaps some would argue. But at the same time, when you look at these numbers, they're relatively small. I mean, we've been hearing numbers for a while now that have ranged up to 120,000, and many thought that that was also inadequate should there be some sort of military confrontation. So perhaps the smaller number will be seen as the deterrence that the United States claims it is. It's still unclear. we will have to now watch for reaction from Iran and the surrounding region and those that support Iran to find out how this might be interpreted. But I can tell you, as of in the last few moments, the U.S. president has confirmed, as the U.S. Commander-in-Chief of Military Forces, that he is in fact deploying 1,500 troops in response to what the United States believes is escalation by Iran.
Okay, Kimberly, yes, and we will be waiting to see if we get any reaction from Iran as well as others in the region. For the time being, Kimberly, thank you for that from Washington.
Piso ang naitatalang pinsalang agrikultural sa Batangas at Cavite. Nasa 752 hektarya ng mga pananim ang apektado habang 102 naman sa mga alagang hayop katulad ng baka, kambing at livestock. Pinakaapektado ang industriya ng kape na inabot sa halos 74 na milyong piso ang pinsala. Ayon kay Reyes, maaari pa namang maisalba ang ilang pananim na nalagyan na ng apo basta't mahugasan ng maigi.
Para ma-recover kung ano pa man, i-harvest na daw po ang kahit pwedeng ma-harvest na. At kung yung mga dating kape, isprayan po ng tubig para ano lang po. Yan po ang immediate muna ngayon.
Magsasagawa rin anya ng pagsusuri ang Bureau of Soil at Bureau of Plant Industry ng DA sa mga napinsalang taniman upang malaman ang epekto ng apo at lahar sa mga apektadong lupa at pananim.
So baka kagaya sa Pinatubo, na may naging volcanic soil, rich yan sa maliban na sa sulfur. Pag sumingaw na yung sulfur, ano yan, masustansya. Diba? Sa volcanic soil, maganda yan.
Samantala, nasa 6,000 fish cages naman ang nanganganib na mapinsala, partikular na ang tawilis at tilapia dahil sa pinangangambahang fish kill sa Taal Lake dulot ng mataas na sulfur content mula sa bulkang Taal.
Nag-issue ng instruction secretary ngayong umaga kay Director Gongona ng Bureau of Fisheries na